King Arthur is the legendary king of Camelot in British mythology. His stories, set in late 5th or early 6th century Britain, depict Arthur as the ideal king for the Britons in both war and peace. He is believed to be the protector of the Celtic Britons against Saxon invaders. The name Arthur first appears in early Celtic folk poems dating back to the 6th century. The earliest tales about King Arthur are found in medieval romances written during the Middle Ages. In the Historia Brittonum by the Welsh cleric Nennius, dating around the 9th century and with several different versions, Arthur is depicted not as a king, but as a commander who single-handedly kills 960 men. The most important source regarding the Arthurian legend is the Historia Regum Britanniae by Geoffrey of Monmouth, written in 1136. Whether King Arthur was a real British king or not is unknown. Some historians believe he was a genuine ruler, while others consider him a nobleman and a powerful commander of his time. The sword Excalibur, his wizard Merlin, and the famous Knights of the Round Table are more products of the literary works that focus on Arthur. It is said that King Arthur's grave is in Avalon. In this video, we will examine the historical origins of King Arthur and the development of the legends surrounding him. So now, let's take a look at the legend of King Arthur. King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. King Uther Pendragon, a powerful king, had a wizard named Merlin who arranged for him to sleep with a queen named Igraine, who was another king's wife. Merlin's condition was that he would be given the child born from their union. All this happens, and the child is named Arthur. He is given to Sir Hector, another lord, to be raised along with his own son, Kay. However, Arthur has no idea about his true identity. Years later, as Arthur grows up and participates in a royal tournament, he learns that Kay has forgotten his sword at home. Arthur finds a sword stuck in a stone in the forest. This is the sword in the stone, which can only be pulled out by the true king of Britain. At this point, Merlin returns to explain the situation to Arthur, who is unaware that he was adopted, and helps him fight against other lords who dispute his claim to the throne. According to the version told in Robert de Boron's poem Merlin, Excalibur is stuck in a stone, and the person who can pull the sword out is the true king of Bretagne. Many nobles try to pull the sword out, but none succeed. Young Arthur effortlessly pulls out the sword, proving that he is the true king. The sword in the stone is often associated with the famous weapon Excalibur, but they are two different swords. The sword Arthur pulls from the stone breaks in a battle with Sir Pellinore, and Merlin takes Arthur to a mystical body of water, where the Lady of the Lake gives him Excalibur. Excalibur is more than just a sword, it is a symbol of Arthur's greatness. This is consistent with many ancient stories and legends where a great hero has some kind of magical weapon. After forcing the other lords to accept his kingship, Arthur marries the beautiful Queen Guinevere and establishes his palace in Camelot. King Arthur invites the most distinguished knights of the kingdom to a feast. However, when the guests arrive, there is a dispute over who will sit in the best seat. Arthur seriously punishes the knight who started the fight and agrees to the round table arrangement to prevent a similar situation in the future. With this arrangement, he states that everyone at the table is equal, regardless of their social status, and that everyone's opinions will be taken seriously. He also mentions that anyone in need of help will be welcomed in the hall, and that those who make mistakes will be corrected by Arthur and his knights. The Round Table is known as a symbol rising in the heart of Camelot, the legendary kingdom of Britain. The knights gathered around this table are known for their commitment to Arthur's principles of justice and honesty. Arthur brings these knights together, who act together to defend himself and his kingdom. Arthur's closest friend and most loyal knight, Lancelot, is known as the Lancelot of the Lake. Lancelot fights alongside Arthur and protects his kingdom. However, Lancelot falls in love with Arthur's wife, Guinevere. This situation upsets the balance of Camelot and creates unrest in the kingdom. The Knights of the Round Table fight to uphold the principles of justice and honesty in Camelot. They face all kinds of challenges to defend the kingdom and its people. As they fight dragons, giants, and cunning villains, they demonstrate their courage and loyalty. The greatest adventure of the Round Table is to search for the Holy Grail. This cup has been depicted in various ways in many stories. Initially, it is described as a plate in the French version, while in Welsh, it is described as a cauldron. However, with Mallory's revision of the story, this cup is transformed into the cup used in the Last Supper and is generally understood in this way. The Holy Grail, which is said to have a healing effect, also has the power to grant eternal youth. In many sources, the Holy Grail is hidden in a castle and protected by the Fisher King. The quest for the Grail can only be completed by a pure-hearted knight, and at the end of this quest, it is achieved by Lancelot's son, Galahad. Galahad is the son of Lancelot and Elaine. He is a knight known for his purity and loyalty. He volunteers to search for the Holy Grail and faces many challenges during this quest. In one adventure, Galahad rushes to the aid of a woman living in a village. The woman tells him that her village is threatened by a dragon after her husband's death. Galahad kills the dragon and saves the village. In another adventure, Galahad rushes to the aid of a princess in a castle. The princess has been cursed by an evil sorcerer, and Galahad enters the castle to save her. Galahad defeats the sorcerer and rescues the princess, lifting the curse. Galahad finally finds the Holy Grail and earns the right to be one of Arthur's knights. Guinevere, as Arthur's wife and the Queen of Camelot, plays a significant role. However, in some stories, Guinevere is kidnapped and requires rescue. Guinevere's kidnapping and subsequent rescue are legendary adventures of Arthur. In one story, Guinevere is abducted by a nobleman named Sir Meliagrance, while Arthur is participating in a tournament. Sir Meliagrance attempts to declare his love for Guinevere by imprisoning her in a castle. Guinevere, fearing this situation as she harbors no feelings for him, seeks help. Arthur, along with Sir Lancelot and a group of knights, attacks the castle to rescue Guinevere. Arthur and Sir Lancelot clandestinely enter the castle and, while rescuing Guinevere, engage in battle with Sir Meliagrance and his men. During this skirmish, Sir Meliagrance is killed and Guinevere is liberated. In another story, Guinevere is at the center of a love triangle involving Arthur and Lancelot. Despite being Arthur's queen, Guinevere harbors feelings for Lancelot. This scenario, despite Arthur being a strong leader, exposes weaknesses within the royal court. Lancelot's inability to conceal his feelings for Guinevere and her reciprocation of those emotions undermines Arthur's trust and jeopardizes the kingdom's future. This love triangle deeply impacts the relationships between Arthur's kingdom and his knights and ultimately exposes Mordred's treachery. Mordred, Arthur's cousin and also his stepson, conspires to seize Arthur's throne. Arthur attempts to kill Mordred in battle, but Mordred survives, albeit wounded. Arthur has to navigate these challenges, and his relationship with his queen and best friend remains noble until Arthur's illegitimate son and Mordred's opposition to Arthur's rule are revealed. In the final battle between Mordred and Arthur, Mordred is killed, and Arthur sustains a mortal wound. As Guinevere retreats to a monastery, Lancelot retreats into seclusion. All the other great knights of the palace are killed. Sir Bedivere assists Arthur and returns Excalibur to the Lady of the Lake. When the sword is returned, Arthur dies and is taken to Avalon Island on a ship. The legend of Arthur has influenced how people interpret the world around them and has inspired them to discover their inner strengths and courage. Additionally, the modern understanding of romantic relationships has been directly or indirectly influenced by the Arthurian legend. In the magical lands of Arthur's kingdom, good always triumphs over evil, and darkness can never extinguish the light. Help always comes for heroes or ladies, villains are punished, the good are rewarded, the wounded are healed, and justice, is always recognized and reciprocated. Even in defeat, the right triumphs, and after countless struggles, the knight and the young lady move away toward a long, happy life. What surprised you the most in this legend? Don't forget to share in the comments. See you in the next video.